Have you ever been accused of doing something wrong, but you knew what you did was right, but you still felt wrong? I know. The same thing has happened to me. In fact, today it happened to me. And before I go into my story, I just want to let you know that there's always going to be times when it feels like you're wrong, even when you've done the right thing. Let's get into my story. Today, I went to Walmart. How many of you went to Walmart today? Can I get an amen? I know, we all live our lives there, don't we? I went to get birthday party supplies with my youngest for my oldest. We got up to the checkout, and my youngest is 8.5 or 8 3/4, as he would correct me. And he wanted to use the little scan gun, the little boop, 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 instead of just doing it on the scanner. I wasn't in a hurry, so I said, okay, let me help you. And I started pulling things out of the buggy, letting him scan them, putting them in the bag. I'd pull them out, he boop, and then I put them in the bag, right? So we got this little thing going. We've got this whole little thing going. So we got these squirt guns. I got 4 packs of these, and I pulled out one pack, and he said, wait, Mom, I can just scan this 4 times because we got 4 of them. And I said, yeah, you can. Go ahead. And he said, will that be okay? And I was like, it's the same thing. Yes, it'll be okay. So he scans them. Boop, 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 boop. 4 times. I actually thought he had scanned them 5 times. So I went back and checked and made sure 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, we've scanned 4. I put the one that I was holding in the bag, and then I reached around to my buggy, picked up the ones that we had already accounted for, and put them in the bag. The minute that I did that, my register cut off. Yes, you heard me. It stopped scanning. And it sent the little red light, I need the associate. And so it said associate on the way. But I didn't know because I was busy looking at other stuff. And she came up behind me and I said, oh, I'm sorry. Did I call for an associate? I didn't need help. And she said, no, ma'am, the register called for me. And I was like, oh, it just wanted to see you? Like it was lonely and it just wanted to see you? Yes, I said that because we all know that sometimes those registers are crazy. And I just laughed and she said, I guess it did just want to see me. Then I looked up and she put her little code in and there was my video, me picking up the 3 that we had already accounted for, putting it in the bag, and it played it again. Pick them up, put them in the bag. Pick them up, put it in the bag. Yep. You get where I'm going? The video said I stole them. And then it called for the associate. So when I saw that, because I am me, I said, oh, look, to my son, they think we stole these. And he said, what? Because I have put the fear of God in my children about not scanning things properly, because that is stealing. So when I said to him, they think we've stole these, he was like, what, Mom? And I said, oh yeah, they think we've stole them. And I saw it on the screen and I said, here's the bag with 4 of them in there. You can see that we scanned 4. And he was like, I don't understand, Mom. And I said, they think we stole them. And when I said it the 3rd time, the lady looked at me and said, I don't think you stole them, but the video does. And I just looked at her and I said, it's okay. We didn't do anything wrong. It's okay. And it's okay that you're doing your job. And she was very kind. And she put her little code in and did everything she needed to do. And we finished checking out. And she stood there and talked to me. And I said, it's good that they're trying to catch people that are stealing things, because that costs us all money, because we've all heard about how much money Walmart has lost by doing the self-serve things. But, here's an idea. Keep humans in the store. Just going to throw that out there. So I digress. When we were leaving, after we paid and everything, as I was walking out of the store, I realized I was getting this really tight, heavy feeling in my chest, like I had done something wrong, which was so weird. And we got in the car, and my son was watching his little video, and I was thinking about all of it and thinking too much. And then I started thinking, wow, now Walmart has this face recognition stuff. All the stores do, you know that. And now, because I was scanned looking like I was stealing something, is it going to follow me around the store the rest of my days like she's trying to steal stuff? Does Walmart now think that I'm a thief? Did that woman really believe me when I said I scanned them all, even though all the evidence was there and she didn't find anything we hadn't scanned? Do you do this? Or is it just me? Do you get so caught up in worrying about looking like you did something wrong when you didn't even do anything wrong that it kind of paralyzes you, and you find yourself feeling the shame and the guilt and I need to change something, as if you had done something wrong, but you didn't? Maybe it's just me, but for those of you out there that might be a little bit like me, let's talk about why we feel that way. Why is it that the appearance of doing something wrong, even when I haven't, makes me feel like I'm wrong? Why is it that I even have to make a video about this? Because I'm processing it, right? And so it made me start thinking about, why do we feel this way? Why do we get caught up in this? And there's a couple of things that I would like to address. First of all, I am from a very devout Christian family. And if you've watched any of my videos, you know that I value my relationship with Jesus more than any relationship in my life. And in the Bible, it says, avoid the appearance of evil, right? We've all heard that our whole lives, if you were raised in church. Avoid even the appearance of evil. And rightly so. Because if something appears evil, it might be. You maybe should stay away from that so you don't get yourself in a mess. You know, if it appears that somebody is getting ready to steal or rob a store or do something wrong, maybe you don't want to hang out with them. I'm just going to throw that out there. So I think that that's a part of it. But I think the bigger part of it is that we so care. When you are a person of integrity, you care what other people think. You want them to know you are a person of integrity. You want them to know that you're honest. You want them to know that you're sincere, because all of that comes from what other people think. Or does it? Is it that you can be a person of integrity and not look to everybody like you're a person of integrity? Is it that you can always do the right thing in theory and still look like you're wrong a lot of times? Yes, you can. And that's really hard. It's something that I've struggled with my whole life, if I'm just being honest here. When people thought that I had done something wrong, or something I did appeared wrong, and then they question it or they talk about me or that kind of thing. When I was 21, I got accused of dating someone who was married. Now, I was dating someone who was divorced and had been divorced for several years. But it's amazing how people don't listen to the facts, right? And when I heard that that rumor was being spread around about me, I was crushed, because that's not the person I am. Because marriage is a sacred vow, and you don't do anything to mess with that. And was it true? No, it wasn't true. But it devastated me for weeks and weeks. I felt like everywhere I went that people were like about me. First of all, nobody is always talking about you, no matter who you are. So let's get that straight. Second, what if they were? Would it be more important for me to look like I was doing the right thing or to actually be doing the right thing? I wasn't doing anything wrong. And I finally had to understand, and I was young, and it's hard to understand this when you're young, that people that know you aren't going to believe the lies. And people that don't know you would rather believe the lies than the truth if the lie is juicier. I'm just going to put that out there. There's always going to be people that don't agree with the things that you're doing. There's always going to be people that think you've made a decision based on one thing that was wrong, when truly it was based on something that was right for you. One of the things I want to point out is that if you are a person of integrity, if you are a person who loves deeply and cares for others, you're probably easily manipulated. I said it. I did. I did. You're probably easily manipulated. How do I know that? Because I have been in a lot of situations when people could not get me to shift any other way. They could get me to shift by making me feel like it was going to appear like I had done something wrong. I'm sad to say that, but I'm learning. Being able to recognize what people think about us is important, but it's not the most important thing. I heard Myron Golden saying recently that when he began to make a lot of money, a lot of people talked bad about him, and a lot of people questioned his integrity as a Christian. And he said, I finally had to decide, I don't care, and this is me paraphrasing, it's not an exact quote, I don't care what people think about me, because what is the most important is what God thinks about me. And the second most important is what I think about myself. And if those two are good, then we're okay. And I need you to understand that, because caring deeply and being a person of integrity and being an honest person is so important. And I honor you for that. And it is such a rare thing in this day and age. But doing the right thing is more important than looking like you're doing the right thing. And if you're so afraid to look like you're doing the wrong thing, you're probably not always going to make the right decisions, because you're going to be afraid to make good decisions, maybe decisions that benefit you more than other people. And I bet you think that's wrong. You know how I know that? Ding, ding, give the girl a prize. Yes, because I was that way. I thought if something benefited me more than it benefited other people, then that was bad. That's crazy. It just is. You need to be able to balance doing things for other people and doing things for yourself. Things that benefit you most, things that benefit them most. That's a healthy balance. So when these people that have been able to manipulate you because you want to always appear like the good person in everybody's eyes, when you start making some decisions that are better for you instead of better for them, when you stop sacrificing yourself 24 hours a day, when you stop being the yes person, they're going to use what they've always used to manipulate you, that it looks wrong, that people are thinking bad about you, or people are going to think this, or I think this. You have to get to where you can say, It doesn't matter what you think, because I know myself and I know my choices. Now, it's wisdom to ask other people that you trust, that have wisdom and integrity and love you, if you're making good decisions, because in a multitude of counselors, there's safety. In a lot of wise people, there is safety, but make sure you're asking wise people. But don't be crippled by caring so much about what people think about you. Don't be crippled by that. The freedom we give away in our lives to other people, the power that we give away, is so sad. And it's the very power we need to change our lives. It's the very thing we need to take hold of and nurture and say, this is my power and I'm not giving it to you. This is sacred to me. It is not yours and you can't have it. I am preaching to myself and I know that, but I know that you are out there and you are feeling like you've done something wrong when you really haven't. So the way we deal with that is this: know yourself. Be honest with yourself first and foremost. Be honest with others, but until you're honest with yourself, you cannot be honest with others. Know who you are. And then take back your power. Take back your power. My little Granny Dolly used to say, well, if they're talking about you, they're giving somebody else a break. And that's true. Because the people that are going to talk about you are going to talk about other people. They're going to talk about whatever gets them the most attention, because it's really about them. It's about them having power and them getting attention. If everybody thinks you're wonderful, somebody's probably lying. Or you're not making any impact in your life. Does that sound harsh? Like, if you're doing something impactful, there are going to be people that don't like it. There are going to be people that don't like that you've taken the reins of your life and you're changing your life. Those people are going to be the ones that tell you you're selfish. You've done something wrong. This was a bad decision. I can't believe you're acting this way. Here's my personal favorite. I would have never expected that from you. Oh, yeah. Those can be things that are used against you. It's just like these horrible tools that they're using to bind you up. Here's what you have to say. When people come to you with that, or when your own mind, like me in Walmart, really a video camera said I had done something wrong. And it made me feel like I had done something wrong. So I'm going to take back my power from Walmart. I have to be able to say, it doesn't matter what anybody at Walmart thinks. It doesn't matter what anybody in Walmart, in corporate, any of that thinks of me, because I would never steal. I'm not that person. They can choose to think whatever they want to about me, because that is their choice. I am who I am, and I won't give them my power and give them any more time to think about it. I won't give them any more space in my brain. You know how you take your power back? Stop giving those negative thoughts space in your brain. And if it's a person that says something to you, then you say to them, it's okay if you feel like I've done something wrong, because I made the best decision for myself, for my family, for whatever it was you made the decision for in this situation. I made the best decision for myself in this situation. If that makes you feel like I've done something wrong, that's your choice. You choose to feel the way you choose to feel. But I have peace in my heart about my decisions. They are mine to make. Thank you for expressing your opinion, but I'm good. Does that sound harsh? I know it does. I know some people are just cringing as I'm saying that. Like, you're not allowed to tell people, have your own opinion. And you know what? You can keep your opinion to yourself too. You can tell people that. That's great that that's your opinion. Keep it to yourself. I don't need it. I didn't ask your opinion about my decision. Isn't it funny how people will interject their thoughts and their opinions about your decisions in your life and think they have a right to do that, when most of them really don't have that right? And really, truly, does anybody have a right to say something to you? Or have they earned the privilege to say something to you? That's just something to think about. Do you have a right to say something to somebody else about their decisions? Or have you earned the privilege? I would say there's probably a time. Put it in the comments. Is there a time when you think people have a right to say something to you? Like if you're a parent, a sibling, a spouse. I think when it affects your life, you have a right to say that. Or you have a right to say, I'm concerned about some things. Can I talk to you about this? And then I would have the right to say, no, I don't want to hear it. I think that we earn the privilege to speak into people's lives. We earn the privilege to speak into people's lives by loving them and caring for them and being there for them. I have spoken to people about decisions I was concerned about, but ultimately it's their choice. And now we're getting off on a totally different thing. But I'm just saying, people will use what you want them to feel about you. You want to appear a certain way. You want to please people, and they will use that to manipulate you. And you will use it to manipulate your own emotions and undermine your good decisions about your life, your health, your future. I'm just going to warn you. If you do something in your life to make a big change, and there are people that you have shared that common thing with, like maybe it's weight or anything like that, and you felt like you couldn't change it, but all of a sudden you found a way to change, they may not be happy for you. And I'm just going to put that out there. They may not be happy for you. They may be very jealous. And so I have a kid above my head knocking on the door. I do. And so they're probably going to try to make you feel like you did something wrong. And in that time, you have to know yourself, know your boundaries, know who you are, and be okay if they don't understand. All right. If you have gotten anything out of this content that made you think, made you hope, made you dream, I am asking you to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can get my videos as they come out. I believe in you. You can change your life, but you got to change this first. You got to change your mindset, and then you can do anything. A little bit at a time. Let's look into the hard things. Let's dig into those places that you've kept into the dark. Get them out into the light and go forward. God bless. I'll see you next time.